IK Multimedia fans, how you guys doing? My name is Naderi. Thank you for joining me. We're going to have a little bit of fun together today. I was asked by the homies at IK if I could do a video, what would I do it on? And I said I want to do it on my favorite thing in the world, which is distortion. I use distortion in literally every aspect of my music. I've got a studio full of cool synths and distortion gear. I've got tape machines that I can drive. I've got like an old Sherman filter bank. I've got a couple of different racks of distortion. I've got boxes, stomp boxes. I got all sorts of stuff because I love making things distort, and I've always been that way since I started with music. So I just want to, let me change the camera angles and we can have a little bit of, whoa, there's two of me. All right, let's go. So basically I wanted to go through this little demo with you guys. It's a track that I made a bit earlier this evening, and I'm from Australia, so it is my evening. And we're going to go through and we're going to like dirty it up, make it sound punchy, and have a lot of fun with it. So let's see what we've got to work with. This is the song. So kind of like a melodic trappy track, which I think a lot of people are really into at the moment. I'll show you what the different elements that we're using are. So basically I've got these hats over here. Standard trap hats. We got this clap. We got this kick. Those drums are from my sample pack, so if you like them, you know where to get them. I've got this loop from a Travis Barker drum kit that I've messed with, like I pitched it and gated it using some built-in functions from Ableton Live, and then I used LFO tool to give it a bit of source, so it sounds kind of like this. Adds a little something there. Then I've got a live channel coming in from my Moog. And that sounds like this. What else we got? We got this sound here. Then we got this Omnisphere doing, what do we got? It's like a little plucky sound from memory as well. So it's got quite a sharp attack and it holds the note really quietly in the back there. So together, and a lot of people would be happy with a beat that sounds like that. I know, I think it sounds pretty clean and punchy, but for my personal taste, I want to have a little bit more character. I want it to just have a bit more grit and show my own personality in the track a little bit more than stock standard sample sounds. So how do we do that? We use distortion. We use lots of it. I've got a few different plugins from the IK homies that I use quite a lot. I use Amplitude. We're going to mess with that. I've also got the Mixbox plugin, and we're going to mess with that as well. So let's have some fun. All right, so let's see what we're going to start with. We're going to have a listen through. We got the bass. Let's have a listen to the bass. I just want some simple saturation on there to start with. So let's go IK Multimedia, and we're going to search through, and we got the Mixbox plugin. Let's start with that. And we're going to go through down here. We're going to just go to the Saturator X, which is kind of cool. It's got a few different modes in there, but we're going to mess around with this original one. Gosh, that is so fat. With it off. Let's turn it off and on. Yo, that's got some weight. Let's have a bit of a mess with the other modes. quite like this mode. Yo, that sounds fire. I am going to move on from that just for a minute. We're going to come back to the bass a little bit later. Once we've developed the track a bit more sonically, we're going to come back and make it like fit even better into the track using saturation. Alright, so that's cool. Now with the snare, with the clap, I wanted to mess around with it a little bit, and I came up with this concept before where I got amplitude. So with amplitude, I'm probably using it incorrectly, but this is how I do it. I switched to this to go into like a stereo, as in there's two different amps and two different cabinets. What I do is I go to the little mixer over here, and I change cab 1 to be panned one way, and I change cab 2 to be panned another way. Then let's have a listen. And then we're going to have to adjust the levels a little bit, so the one on the right's a bit quieter than the left. Cool, okay. That sounds like considerably different to the clap, right? And I haven't even messed with the settings in the amp yet. What I'm going to do is parallel process this. So basically in Ableton, you can do this really easily. If you don't have Ableton Live, I'm sure your other DAWs, DAWs will be able to let you do this. But even if you're not figuring it out in Amplitude, you can click on this little DI button here. And to the best of my understanding, what it does is it passes the DI signal straight back out. So you're kind of parallel processing through there. But I'm going to do it in Ableton because there's a bunch of other things that I would do with parallel processing that I can do using the racks. So what we do is we group this. So we've got this plugin down here, and we hit the Command G button in Ableton, and we do this. So what we've got is we've got a chain, which is the plugin, and then we're going to create another chain. And this is empty, so this chain has clean signal, and this chain is the plugin. That's pretty cool. Alright, now I'm just going to bring the plugin down a little bit. Okay, and if we turn this off and on, it's like a really dry basic clap. It just has a little bit of a tone, and the tail, I don't know, I think that's like a room reverb vibe. That tail just gives it a little bit more space and depth and kind of creates a bit of a 3D-ness, which I like. Yeah, definitely going to keep it on. So together it's... Sorry, my phone was going off. That was my manager calling. I'm going to mute my phone. Alright. Let's get back to it. Oh, that is so loud. Okay, let's have a little go at this again. So... that sounds dope. I really like the way that clap sounds. I'm going to resample that and actually keep it for another track. Yo, that's really cool. All right, next thing I want to do, I want to mess with the hats a little bit, and I quite like using Mixbox for that, because what I do, I'll show you guys a little trick, and I've tweeted about this a little bit. So let's go to the saturation. Actually, we'll do the saturation here. Saturator X, then we're gonna add an EQ. Let's try, I'm guessing the British EQ is probably like an SSL. Yeah, looks like an SSL type EQ. So let's distort it a bit, but then let's get a cool frequency that sounds good to me and push that further into the distortion. That's pretty cool. I'm just going to see if there's any other modes that I like a bit more. I'm going to take some of the low end out too, just to be safe. I'm going to move the saturator. I'm going to add a little bit more EQ. Let's try a parametric EQ. Ooh, this is sexy. I actually don't use the EQs in this often, so I'm kind of like learning a little bit about these together. I normally use for this kind of thing like Ableton's EQ, so like what I would do is like, you can hear that difference. Like this is with, so this is with just the Ableton EQ on. This is a raw sound. EQ, distortion. Distortion without the EQ. So you can hear that frequency push. So what's happening there is I'm shoving that frequency into the distortion, and it's emphasizing the distortion on that frequency, and it sounds really, really analog and pleasing to the ear. Yo, that's hot. All right, so let's go to the next sound. So you can see I had a mix box here. I was messing around with it. So let's do the mix box again together. We're going to go saturator X. And I'm going to smash that. That sounds so cool. And then after that, I want to put a bit of an EQ. Let's find the right frequencies for this bad boy. I think we're going to have to use a different. Let's try one of the other EQs. Yeah, this looks. Yeah, this is sick. This is kind of like a Pultec vibe. I'm going to give it a boost around 60 or maybe 100. I haven't decided. Probably 100 actually. Yo, that sounds so hot. Yeah, we went from this puny little weak kick, which like it actually, like if you turn it up, it's not that puny. It's like to this, and I'm going to turn the volume down so it's a bit easier to judge the difference. That is sexy. Cool. So that's the kick. Sounds pretty dope. I'm just gonna have a listen to everything together. Yeah, that sounds hot. All right. Let's get deeper into this. I am loving this. Let me check the sound that I want to mess with next. Alright, so the reason why I feel it's important to pick what sounds you work on first and next is because one of the sounds will lead what you choose to do with the next sound. And if I start with making the kick exactly how I want, sometimes maybe I want that, but in this case I felt like it wasn't the right approach. And if I'd made the kick hella banging in the beginning, I might have overcompensated with my distortion choices on other sounds. And I wanted to get the snare and the hats to sound right before the kick. So in this case, I'm choosing if I'm going to get this sound or this sound. And I think I'm going to work on this last sound first. So let's go mess with the amplitude. Nope. Okay, I'll play tube. All right. And let's make it stereo. Ooh, that is gnarly and a little bit loud. So what I'm going to do is add a utility. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to like mess around with some of the presets on here. So let's go. Yo, that's so cool. what was that? ZC, ZD. Let's try some other presets though. I like this one. Yeah, that sounds sick. So what I'm gonna do now is actually mess with this a little bit more. I'm gonna mess with a couple of these a little bit more, but let's add the saturation to this sound, and then we're gonna resample one of the sounds. I can't decide which one yet. Yeah, this one's got a lot of juice. Let's go amplitude. Yeah, what the hell? That's sick. Sounds a bit crushed, but it's really easy to drive these too hard, so I quite often have to put like a little utility behind it. I think if you actually do this, let's try some of the other presets as well. Yeah, that sounds so cool. I'm going to see what that sounds layered over the existing sound. So I'm going to actually do the rack thing where we parallel process the sounds. And I'm going to put that there. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a EQ on that plucky bright sound from before on this one. We're going to get rid of some of the harsh frequencies. I feel like Mike Dean would be a little bit like stoked with the tones I got out of some of the sounds in there. Hey Mike, if you ever see this, g'day. Alright, Syntronic is another IK Multimedia plugin which I used in this song. That could not sound any more like straight out of a synth, you know, like pure sound. So let's mess it up. And I actually had an amplitude setting that I was mucking around with before. Let's see how that sounds on there and if I want to keep it. That's cool, except in this case I wanna mess around with it a little. I wanna put some like, let's see, what are we gonna put in there? Let's see if there's some modulation stuff. Maybe a chorus. Let's put that in the beginning. I'm gonna see if there's like a flanger. Yo, that sounds so dope. It went from to this like Soundgarden Black Hole Sunny sounding synthesizer thing. And in context, let's listen to it all. Yo, that's hot. Alright, so what are we going to do now? We're going to like start going one step further with all the sound design. This sounds great. I'd be happy with this, but I just want to muck around a little bit more because I find some of the best vibes I get from experimenting, and and at the end of the day, it feels like I'm like a mad scientist in the studio, just making weird sounds and trying to somehow control this little reaction and make it sound good and pleasant, but to satisfy my own curiosity. So my curiosity says I want to hear one of these sounds pitched up an octave or down an octave. I think this sound here needs to be. So what I want to do is I want to actually turn this into audio. So I want to do what's called freeze. And when we freeze it, it's just going to bounce it out internally as audio. And we're going to have like a little waveform, a WAV file, which I can then start manipulating in a different way than I could with MIDI. So I've got this. Sorry, a bit loud. Rest in peace, your ears. Yo, that's dope. Okay, so what we're going to do is just pitch it up an octave. That sounds sick. I just wanted to sort of have a little less digitalness about it. So let's get the mix box. And let's chuck that on there. And what are we going to do? We're going to saturate. All right, let's go. Actually, you know, let's do that. And let's do a tape cassette. But I'm going to turn this first one off. And I just turned the saturator on. I'm going to try some other modes. Let's see what it's like before and after. That is so crazily like tape. Wow. Yo, that's wild. I use like actual tape quite often, and it's just done that thing where it sounds richer, but it doesn't like mess the sound. It doesn't sound digital. This is really cool. I've used the Sat X a bunch, but I haven't used the tape cassette before, and I don't know why. I'm like pleasantly surprised in the best of ways right now. This is sick. All right, let's see what it's like together. I think that little effect that I selected here, the tape snaps, that might need to go down. That's better. Without the new layers. Yeah, okay, so what we're going to do for a bit of variety in the track is have the first half play as is, then the second half is going to have the new layer that we made, which sounds like this, laid over the top. Alright, so let's go. Okay, really stoked with that. What does it need? Needs more saturation. So we're going to do a little bit of a... Maybe it's a no-no to some people, but to me it's a yes. We're going to put some saturation on the master channel. So let's put this mix box here. And we're going to go back to saturation and do the saturator X. I'm going to try the tape. Actually, you know what? Let's try the steel and iron or the Class A. I think that'll give us the more subtle vibe that I'm after to glue everything together. Yeah, that's definitely not subtle. So that's on the Class A. I'm going to try... So what I did just quickly is I level matched stuff and made it all sound as good as I can. But I feel like I'm going to try the other modes just to see what I think. the tape saturation in this stuff is so good. I can't believe it's not hardware like sometimes. Wow. See, I use Amplitude quite a lot at the moment, and whenever I use SATX, I just like have it on the default. I think it's on the push pull, and I just crank it. But I've been going a bit deeper in this session into playing with the tape modes, and I'm like blown away. So there's like without the master channel effect on there. So let me I can just probably. I'm going to take my mug off the screen and you can see me turning it off and on. Wow, that's so dope. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do quite often. Like I'll be sometimes a lot more wild with what I do. Like for example, I might get this and that sound there, and I'll like go fully crazy on it. So let's put like the mix box on there and let's go absolutely berserk on distorting it. Let's maybe before we do that, we actually freeze and flatten it. So I'm gonna just get rid of the mix box. Okay, so we got this. Let's like go down an octave on this. And let's put the mix box on that. So without the saturation. And with it. Alright, let's see it together. That sounds hot. So what I would probably do is even use some of this as like the intro. So let's go. Let's get this sound. Maybe this sound. We're just going to mess around until we get the right thing to go with it. Alright, we need a little bit of source just before the drop happens. I was going to mess with the bass a little bit more afterwards, but all I think it needs is a bit of EQ and we're good. Yeah, okay, this is great. I'm happy with it. Let's have a listen to the whole thing. That's awesome. Thanks for staying in and watching this with me. My name is Naderi. That was me messing around with distortions for IK Multimedia. Thank you. Bye.